Hi, everybody. Excuse me, Pam here from Around the Table Yarns. Sorry that this has to be a recorded session instead of a live session. We're having some internet problems. Um, so I've had to do a little recording separately. Um, but I want to let you know if you've got questions with this block, as usual, feel free to reach out. If I don't address something that maybe you have trouble with, or you just want to get something clarified, the easiest way to reach out is via email at info@aroundthetableyarns.com. In the subject line, put crochet block or Project Monday or something like that so that it will really flag for us. And then let me know what your question is, and we'll either get on the phone or get on Zoom, or I'll type up a response. Either way, I'm always happy to do that for any of our Project Mondays that we've done. Okay, today we're doing the Tudor Rose. Our third block in the Spirit of Flora. I think this one is my favorite so far. Lots of familiar stitches, a couple of new ones. There's some things that are a little bit different than previous blocks, but a lot that is the same. I think you're going to have a pretty easy time. So I do have a few tips and tricks. Here's our back. You're going to see some familiar um, components here to our frame and our building of the rounds. I think you're going to find a lot of things that are very similar to previous blocks. Okay, let's get into the Tudor Rose. Okay, so here we go. So, um, I've got some other versions of this in different places along the way, so you don't have to watch me go all the way around. I struggle with that every month, and I think I have found a good, for this block in particular, a good way to do it so you don't have to watch so much, um, or waste so much time just watching me do the same thing over and over again. So it's a nice block. It starts very much the same as we've already done. I'm going to move over to this one here. So it's in pieces here. So some things I am not going to demonstrate because it's the same thing we've already done several times along. So it's going to start with a ring, and you're going to do 8 single crochets into the ring. I chose to do the way that she does it in the videos, chaining two and going into the first chain. You can use magic ring, whichever way. I think I did magic ring on this one. It makes a little bit tighter center. Um, for me anyway. So either way, fine. 8 single crochets into your ring. Then round one starts, and that is my kind of medium pink color here. You are going to put, let's see, you're going to join your yarn into any single crochet with a chain one, which doesn't count. And then you're going to make a chain two, which does count as a double crochet. And then you'll put one more double crochet in the same place. So essentially you want to end up with 16 double crochets, 2 double crochets in every single. And one of them is going to be a chain, your beginning chain will count as a double here. Okay. And you will slip stitch to join into the top of that chain three that you made. Okay. Then we're going to go on to, let's see, round three. I'm sorry, round two, which is this light pink here. Um, this is also pretty straightforward. So we've got 16 double crochets here in the first round. Round two, you're going to join the yarn into any stitch with a chain one, which does not count, and then a single in the same stitch. And then, so there's my single in the same stitch. Then you are going to, in the next stitch, you're going to put a half double and a double into the next stitch. You're going to put 3 triples into the next stitch, and then a double and a half double into the next stitch, and a single into the next, which is covered up right here. And that's your repeat all around. Okay, so we're going to have these petals of, um, I believe it's three, four, five, seven, the singles on each side, but seven taller stitches all the way around. Okay, so that takes you through round two, and you slip stitch to the first single crochet to join. So I'm going to start demonstrating with round four, with round three, excuse me. I always forget that this beginning part is not called a round. For me, it is the light gray color. Okay, so I've done some of it, but I'm going to show you how it works. Um, One of the new stitches, because I don't think we've had it in this, is a spike stitch, and there are several spike stitches in this pattern. Those are those stitches that dip down. Really, all they are long single crochets in this case. So we've got them in several rounds, so you're going to get used to those. Um, let's see if I had any other notes about this one before we start. Do highlight in your pattern. In this round three, we are going to be doing some things into front loop only, which is your signal that eventually you're going to mark the back loops because we'll need them at another time. All right. So those are the kinds of things that you need to make sure you highlight in your pattern so that you don't miss those. So as we go, you can highlight that in your pattern. Okay. So let me show you the repeat for round three. You are going to join, and this one's a little trickier because you are going to join with a spike stitch. And the directions say, I'm going to the actual pattern, um, join the yarn into the base of any single crochet made on a previous round so that you are working into the top of round one, which for me is this medium pink color. Okay, so let me show you what that means. So instead of starting and joining our yarn into the top of a single crochet, I'm going to go to the base of that single crochet right there, which is really the top of the round below it. So insert your hook, yarn, bring your yarn up, and then you just want to lift your yarn, raise your yarn so it is the height um, just above the top of the stitches, okay? So we brought it up and we pull through. So the first one is going to be a little wonky because uh, it's not really attached to anything. So don't worry about the first one. We'll be able to kind of secure it as we go. Okay. So we're going to start with that little spike stitch. Let me tug on the tail there a little bit. You're going to skip the single crochet that is underneath it. We're not going to make a stitch there. Since we put a stitch over it, we're not going to put a stitch into the top of that stitch, but we are going to move on to the next stitch, and we're going to put one single in the next stitch. So if you're curious, I'm going to take it out for just a second. Here is the top of the stitch that I'm covering up. So my first stitch after I make the spike stitch will be right here. Hopefully that helps a little bit about where you're going. So I'm going to basically cover up this single crochet with a spike stitch. Insert here. Pull it up. Okay. And don't worry if it doesn't look great because on future rounds, you end up covering up those spike stitches. Okay, so don't worry if that first one doesn't look great. Now I'm going to do a single into the next stitch. Now it's going to behave. You don't have to worry about holding your end after that. We're going to do 3 double crochets into the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. single into the next stitch. Um, we're gonna do 3 double crochet. Did I do that right? Nope. I started over. Hold on. I started in the wrong spot. We want our 3 double crochets that are front loop only to end up here in this center of those 3 triples that we made right there. So I know that needs to be 3 doubles. That's going to be a single. This is going to be 3 doubles. So I actually skipped the top of a stitch. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. Very fudgeable though. Okay, let's make sure I have the right number of stitches. There's the top of the single. All right, so single after the spike stitch, and then 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 single. Now we're in the top of that center stitch, and we're going to put 3 double crochets in the front loop only. So remember, we're just going to catch that front loop. Put 3 doubles there. 1, 2. This is probably familiar. 3. Okay. I'm going to make sure I'm doing this. Hold on 1 second. Yep. Single in the next. 3 doubles in the next. 1, 2, 3. Pull up some yarn there. I should have 1 stitch left, and I do, of this little set, single, and then spike stitch into the next stitch here. Okay, so that's what takes you all the way around. That's your repeat. Starts with a spike stitch, single in the next, 3 doubles, single in the next, 3 doubles, front loop only at the top of this petal, single in the next, 3 doubles, single in the next, spike stitch. So you'll work that all the way around, and you will end up slip stitching into the top of your spike stitch. Okay. We'll see how this little method of mine works. By doing part of the round, I'm just not connected here. So I'm going to pull out so I can do the other rounds on top of this. Let's pull out this last one. It was a single in the last, and then slip stitch into the top of the spike stitch. Okay. That looks pretty good. Okay. There we go. So you have now 4 distinct petals. Here's 1, here's 2, 3, 4. We'll be working in 4s in this 4 petal groups in this particular flower, okay? All right, so now we're going to go on to round 4, which is, we look at this one, this edging round. I used this yellow color, and all it does is it's going to add an edging to the top of your petal, okay, and kind of highlight it. I chose this ochre color, and get to the right page here. There is a little something new in this particular round. We're going to be doing a single crochet 3 together with a spike stitch. Okay, so that's definitely something new for us, but I think you'll get it. All right, so this round you're going to join your round. Um, oh, I apologize. At the end of round three, which was my gray round, we needed to mark our back loops. I missed that little step. Okay. So you'll have four markers across the back in the skipped back loop that we made. So at the top of each petal on the back side, have a little marker there. All right. Now on to round four. You're going to join your yarn in the center stitch of any petal. Okay, so the center stitch, which is right here at the top of the petal, not the sides of the petal, because you do have these little three double crochet clusters on the sides. We want to start at the top. And actually, I'm going to start over here at this one so I can work two repeats and end where I started. All right. So I'm going to take that out for just a second. All right. So we're going to forget this other ochre color is here. You're going to start with I believe it is a chain one, which does not count, and three singles into the same stitch. Okay. So I'm going to use my new yarn so I don't run out. So there, we're going to pretend that's my first single in that spot. I'm going to switch to my new yarn. Thank you for your patience as I figure this out. Get my ends tidied up here. And one more single. Okay, so I've got three singles in that top of those three double crochets. In the center one, I've got three singles. Okay, and here's where our repeat starts. You're going to do one single in the next stitch. One single in the next stitch. You're going to do a spike stitch. So we put a single in the top of the third double. Your spike stitches are going to cover those single crochets in between those clusters, okay? So we're going to go to the base, grab the yarn and pull it up, and you don't want to leave it down here. You do want to pull it up because you don't want it to pucker or pull too tight, okay? And then finish it. It's basically an elongated single crochet, okay? So I did a spike stitch. Um, Single crochet in the next stitch, three single crochets in the next one. One, two, three. And I just realized, let me just zoom in just a hair more. There we go. Okay. And a single in the next one. And now we're going to do a three single crochet together. All right, so we're going to take the last stitch here, the top of this spike stitch, and the first stitch over here, the first single on that side, and we're going to put them together as one, but with a twist, okay? So we're going to start off. You're going to go into the top of the next stitch and pull up a loop. You're not going to finish your single crochet, okay? Instead of going into the top of our spike stitch, I'm going to go and cover to the base of the spike stitch and pull up a loop, but I'm not going to finish it. I have three loops on my hook. Now I'm going to go to the top of the next stitch. Skipping the spike stitch and pull up a loop. I don't want it under the gray there. Okay. And you should have 4 loops on your hook. Hold on, I split my yarn there a little bit. Let me do the last one again. There we go. 4 loops on the hook, yarn over. Now we're going to finish all of them together. So we took 3 stitches and we put them together as one. Okay. And that, in my case, it's gold. My gold spike stitch is covering that previous gray spike stitch. Okay. All right. After your 3 together, you're going to do a single in the next. You're going to do 3 singles in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, single in the next. And now we're back to a single in between 2 clusters. We're going to make another spike stitch. And then single in the next. 3 singles in the next stitch. And that is our repeat, but I have enough here I can do the repeat again. 1, 2. Pull out some more yarn here. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. Great. Okay. So now our repeat starts over again. We do 1 single in the next stitch. Now we're going to do a spike stitch. So go to the base of this single crochet, grab the yarn and pull it up. You don't have to pull it up super high. You just want it to be just above the row you're working on. Okay. Whoop. Yarn over, pull through. You can always tighten it up a little if you need to. Single in the next stitch. Remember, we're not going into the top of the stitch that we spiked. We're just skipping the top of that stitch. 3 singles in the next. 1, 2, 3. Single in the next. And now we're ready to do another single crochet 3 together. Okay. So now we're going to go into the top of the next stitch, pull up a loop. We're going to make a spike stitch kind of covering the previous one, pull up a loop, and go into the top of the next single and pull up a loop. All right, we want all of those to be pretty even in their tension. Yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. Okay. Single in the next. 3 singles in the next. So those 3 singles are going into, they're always going into the middle of the 3 double crochet clusters, okay, to help expand it out. Single in the next. Now we're going to do a spike stitch. Single in the next, and you're back where you started. And we will put I'm going to take this out for just a second. I'm going to slip stitch to join into the first single I made there. Cut my yarn. And at the end of this round, you are going to place markers at the top of those petals into the second of the three single crochets you made. Okay, so I've got one, there's number two. So skip this, just in the top of the four petals. Let me move this one out of the way. Okay, the top of the four petals right there into the second. Remember, the top of the stitch always is a little bit to the right when you're working in the round like this. And then I'll need one. So there's one, here's two. And one, and there's two. Okay. So you'll have four corners marked here, and you've got markers on the back as well. Okay. If you watch on YouTube the Spirit of Flora video, she doesn't have these markers in because they make a lot of noise as you're working the other rounds, but she does put them back in when you need them. So just so you know. Okay. So this is what your little piece should be looking like now. Okay. So essentially our first layer, our topmost layer of our flower. So now we're going to make a second flower, but we're going to rotate it a little bit. So these were the points of that flower, and the points of the next layer are going to be shifted over. Okay. So in this case, she does tell you then to do the surface crochet. So let me do the surface crochet. She doesn't do a video on it because we've done it before. You were going to do the surface crochet at the end of round one, which for me is this medium pink color. Not here around the center, although if you did it there, I don't know that it would matter, but it does go right here between this round and the first round of the actual petals. So just a quick reminder, she gives no directions on this either. Okay, so uh, I kind of just made it up. I decided to use all of the holes here going around to make my slip stitch surface crochet. So I'm going to enter anywhere here from the front with my hook, and you can use a larger hook. I don't happen to have one handy, so I'm just going to do this loosely. And you're going to pull up a loop, okay? Now I'm going to move over to the next hole, and I am going to grab the yarn and I'm going to pull it through like a slip stitch. Don't worry about it being loose because we'll be able to pull our tail to tighten it up. Now I'm going to go to the next hole, grab the yarn, and pull it through. So I don't want this to be tight. Sorry, let me pull out some yarn here. I just want this to lay nice and flat across without doing any sort of puckering. So find the next hole, grab your yarn, and pull it through. So I do think you can do it without changing your hook size. Oh, by the way, you really only need one hook size for this, except for this particular step. So I just went all the way around. You could make bigger chains if you wanted to, but I think this looks just fine. And I've split my yarn, so let's pull it back. Find my end. There we go. I have pieces folded down here, so I'm trying not to get them caught up in all of this. All right. Pull it through. Pull it through. Pull it through. And then if you're not really sure, like this is probably my my chain two that I started with, so it looks a little weird there, but I'm just going with it, spacing them evenly. Because honestly, when it's all said and done, it covers up all of the little gaps. All of my stitches are roughly the same size, and that's really all I care about. Nothing looks tight, nothing looks too loose. And then I'll remind you how we finish it, because that's always the prettiest part, is making a nice ending. Okay, so I still have one more to go, but I'm going to stop. Come on, pull through. There we go. I'm going to cut the yarn. I'm going to pull my loop up. I'm going to take my darning needle. Okay. And let's pull this so it looks nice. I'm going to go underneath the very first chain I made. I'm going to go underneath both legs of it, like that. And pull it around. So I'm staying on the top, and I'm going to pull it so that it looks the same size as my other chains. And then I'm going to go back down into the center of this chain and poke it all the way through to the other side. That's the technical term, poke it through. Okay. So then I'm just going to pull on. Now you can't even tell which one was which. They all look the same size. I'm back. Hot mess of ends back here. For the time being, because I don't want that to come undone, I'm going to tie my beginning and my ending end together. Okay, there we go. So that won't come undone. And you have a nice surface crocheted center. Looks good. Okay, that was the surface crochet. Now on to round 5. Round 5, I'm doing in this medium pink color again. We're going to be working behind these petals for round 5, okay? And we are going to join our yarn in any of the marked back loops. So let's get some of these, sorry, ends out of the way from other rounds. So there's a marked back loop right there. And here's another one right here because my marker fell out, okay? So, because I've already done 2 of them, I'm going to demonstrate 2 of them. So folding my leaf forward, there's my marked back loop. We're going to use this color for 2 rounds. We're going to make a bit of a frame for the round. So you're going to secure it with a chain 1 and does not count as a stitch. And then you're going to do a single in that same back loop, marked back loop. Okay. Let's see. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to fold my leaves forward here. And we are going to single crochet under both legs of this spike stitch, the 3 single crochet together we did right here. The back legs of that are right here. So we're going to go underneath both of them with a single crochet. Oop. Let's try that one more time. Underneath both. Yarn over. There we go. Okay. And we are going to chain four again. One, two, three, four. And we are going to single crochet again into our marked back loop. I'm going to take this one out. And then one, two, three, four. There are my, sorry about these ends. There are my two legs that I'm going to single crochet. Underneath both. There we go. Single crochet there. Chain one, two, three, and four. Um, and I'm back to my marked stitch. I'm going to slip stitch into my marked stitch because I'd already done that round before. Okay, so let me cut that. Pull that through. So what you have here, get the leaves in the right spot, is you started in your marked stitch, and then we chained four, started in our marked stitch, we chained four, we secured it with a single to the back of that spike stitch, chain four, single in the next marked stitch, chain four, secured it with a single in the spike stitch, the back of the spike stitch, to our next marked stitch right here, chain four, all the way around, okay? So we have a frame with chain fours secured all the way around. All right, so that is round five. So round five ended. Here's where I ended before. I chained four. Oh, so I didn't need to chain four again. And I slip stitch to join. Okay. Let's just get in there and slip stitch so it's secured. I can pull that through. It doesn't want to. There it goes. Okay. All right. So now, um, don't cut your yarn. Don't do a demo like me. Okay. So you slip stitched into the top of your marked back stitch. So that's just where I'm going to reconnect my yarn. I don't really care what the back looks like here. All right. And you are going to slip stitch, again, working behind these petals into the chain four space that you made here. So I'm just going to slip stitch here. Okay. Because that's where my round needs to begin, is in the chain four space. Okay. I'm going to do a single crochet in the same space. All right. Now, you should be coming, now you're going to come to the single crochet that we secured to the back of that spike stitch, okay? That little single crochet is about to hold a whole lot of stitches. So into that single crochet, we're going to put one double, five triples, and one double, okay? So find the top of that stitch, one double, and five triples. Let me pull out some yarn. Those triples eat a lot of yarn. So yarn over twice. And I'm working with the end. Let's try that without working with the end. Okay, one more time. Thank you for your patience. So we're going to do one double and 5 triples. So there's 1, 2, and that the top of that single should open up nicely for you to fit all these stitches into. And 3, and 4, one more triple, and then another double. So a total of 7 stitches into that single. Okay, so you're going to have something like that. Then we're going to secure that with a single crochet in this next chain 4 space. So let's do a single right there. Okay, so we started with a slip stitch in that chain space to start and a single, and then we built our 7 stitches into that one single and then secured it to the other chain 4 space with a single. Okay, then um, we are going to, let me look here. Oh, there is a note I have here written down as I'm looking at my notes. On, this is round 6 we're doing. The pattern tells you right here that you're going to put 1 doubles, 5 triples, 1 doubles into the next double crochet. That's an error. It should be single crochet. We didn't have any double crochets on round 5. Okay, so just change that. And then 1 single crochet into the next chain space. Okay, then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to skip this single that's at the top of our petal, and we're going to put a single in the next chain space. So we have a little chain space covering a chain space, and we're going to repeat. So we put a single there. Now we're going to put a double into the top of this single. Make sure I'm getting into the right stitch. There we go. So 1 double and 5 triples. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I often lose my tension on my triples. I don't know if that's something you deal with. I really have to be careful. I get a little loosey-goosey with those last couple of yarn overs. And then 1 more double. And then I want to secure that or anchor it to this next chain 4 space with a single crochet. Okay. And then I'm going to chain 4, skip at the top of that petal, and then make a single into the next chain 4 space. And that's where I'm going to, and when you get all the way around, you will slip stitch into that first single you made. So that's what I'm going to do. Hold on here. If I can get in there. Okay. I think tonight I will be weaving in many, many ends. Okay. So what you've got going all the way around, if I can just show you what we just did, are the beginning of these petals that if I fold this forward again, are just peeking out between the petals of the first layer. Okay? We're gonna out of the way. All right, so now we're going to add to those petals. So we're going to change colors. Okay, so that's what you've got. And I'm going to be changing to my dark pink for mine. And we'll be on to round 7. Believe it or not, we're actually uh, more than halfway done here, which is good. All right, so round 7, you can join your yarn into any single crochet before the group of 7 stitches. So here's my group of 7 stitches, and I had anchored it with a single crochet first. That's where you're going to start. Okay, so I'm going to start right here in this one that I just made. So there's the double, and then the 5 triples. So right before it was the single. I'm going to secure it with a chain 1, which is not a stitch, and then a single crochet in the same space. Okay. And I like to get that little extra out of the way. Now it's all secure. Okay, so we've got a single in there. We are going to single crochet in the next stitch. So single here, which would be the top of the first double crochet we made in that one. Okay. And then we're going to put 1/2 double, 3 doubles, and 1/2 double in the next stitch. Okay. So this is the first of the triples. We're going to put a 1/2 double. We're going to put 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3, and one more 1/2 double into that next stitch. Okay. And we're going to put a single in the next. And now we're going to do that 3 times. The 1/2 double, 3 doubles, 1/2 double, single in the next. That grouping of stitches, we're going to do 3 more times. So 1/2 double, 3 doubles, and 1/2 double, and a single in the next. So now I have done it 2 times. I need to do that repeat. It's like a repeat within a repeat. One more time. 1/2 double, 3 doubles, and a 1/2 double, and a single in the next. So I have done that 3 times. All right, so we took those 7 stitches and we've made little clusters around. Okay, so that's what we should look like at this point. Then I'm going to put a single in the next stitch, which is the top of the last double crochet we had in that group of 7. I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to skip this chain space, and I'm going to put 1 single in the next single, which is right over here. So we're going to skip this middle chain space, and I'm going to put a single right here, and that is my repeat. So now I do it all over again. 1/2 double, 3 doubles, and a 1/2 double in the next. pull out some more yarn. And let's see, I lost track of where I was. So there's my half double. One, two, three doubles. One more half double. Single in the next. I should now be up here towards the top of the that petal, and it looks like I am. Half double, three doubles, half double, single in the next. Do that repeat one more time. Half double, three doubles, and a half double, single in the next. And then single in the top of the last double crochet, which is kind of a little guide that you're on track. I'm going to chain four. I'm going to skip this chain space and then repeat. And when you get all the way around, you will slip stitch into your first single to join. Okay. Whoop. Let's pull that up. Yanked my slip stitch right out. There we go. Okay. So what you have, minus hopefully a lot of ends. Now you've got pieces. You've got petals that are coming in between the first layer of petals. I need to secure a little bit more there. But I've got another one we're going to move to so we don't have to deal with so many ends. Okay, that takes you to the end of round 7. All right, I'm going to move over here. Okay, so I don't have quite so many ends. So this is what each of those petals should look like. You've got a chain 4, a petal, and another chain 4 and a petal. And now we're going to do, just like we did to the edge of this first layer, we're going to add an edging to this petal as well. And for me, that's going to be in the light pink. This is round number 8. And this time you're going to start in these marked stitches we had. Remember we marked these center stitches? That's where you're going to start. So I still have one left here. So I did most of this already. So I'm going to insert my hook where my mark is and pull out my stitch marker. Secure my yarn. With a chain 1. Okay. And then I think I need to do a single in the same stitch, and I do a single in that same stitch. Okay. And this end is gonna be loose. You can pull it to the back. There we go. Okay, so now I am secured to that marked stitch. That's the only time we're going to attach to this round. Now I'm going to go back to my previous round 7 and work. Okay. I am going to skip this chain space behind it and the next three stitches. Okay, so I'm skipping this chain space. I'm skipping the single, single, and the first half double. Okay, so I'm skipping three stitches. So I'm going into the first of the double crochets with a single crochet. That was very anticlimactic. Single crochet there. It's going to look weird. It's looking like it's pulling it over, but eventually it's going to get pulled back a little. So don't worry about that. Okay. Um, I'm going to put three single crochets in the next stitch, which is the middle of those three double crochets. One, two, from the previous round. Three. I'm going to put single in the next two stitches. And now I'm going to make a spike stitch. So that single that comes between those clusters that's where the spike stitch is going to go. Okay, so we're going to go into the base of that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through. And if you need to tighten it up, you can still, it should move pretty easily for you to tighten it up if you feel like you need to. Okay, so I spike stitched there. I'm going to put a single in the next two stitches. So remember, your spike stitch is covering up the top of a stitch, so make sure you're going into the right stitch. An easy way to maybe remember or to know is I'm going to put a single into the next two stitches, and I want to end up with three singles in that center of those three double crochets right there. So that means this has to be a single and this has to be a single. So sometimes working backwards can be helpful. One, two, and then three singles here. One, two, three. And now we're going to, this is very symmetrical, so we're going to do two singles in the next two stitches. One, two, and now we're ready for another spike stitch. Okay, so I always want to yarn over and I shouldn't. All right, so we're going to go into the base of this stitch, just right here. Pull up a loop. All right, two singles in the next. One, two, and now I should be in the center of those three double crochets. So here's the half double, here's a half double, and there's the three doubles. So I'm into the first one, so I'm in the right spot. There's the second one, ready for three single crochets into that stitch. Okay, two singles in the next. One, two. We are ready for, let's see, we finished this one. Oh, I completely missed this. I even have it highlighted. Let's take this back. This one up here, the very top, needs to be front loop only. Highlight that in your pattern. Front loop only, three single crochets at the top of the petal. Yet they don't ask us to mark the back. I don't, so just so you know. All right, so three there and then two singles and then a spike stitch. Yep, in the right spot. And then two singles. One here. One here. and then 3 in this one. And this time we're only going to do one single because now we're at the end of the petal. We're going to do a chain 1 and we're going to do a single into the next marked stitch, which is going to bring this petal over. So since I've already started it, I'm going to slip stitch, but you would make your single here and then repeat around. And when you get all the way around, you can slip stitch into the top of that first single to join. Okay. Like I said, a lot of this we've done before. Okay, this is where I ended when I went around the first time. So I just want to slip stitch this here. I know I created extra ends for myself, but I think this was faster than going around. Okay, so now what you've got, tuck away the leaves, and let's zoom out just a little. Okay, so now you've got outlined petals at a different angle, rotated, that kind of mirrors the first layer that we did. And you should have spike stitches on each side of that center. If by chance something happened and you forgot a spike stitch, I'm hoping you can see how easy it would be to just to go back and just kind of crochet over it and make the spike stitch. I'm always looking for ways to not have to rip anything out. So that would be easy enough to do, just to kind of duplicate stitch over it in the color that you needed. Okay. That is the end of round 8, and now we're ready for stems and leaves, which are going to be very familiar to you. The stems, oh, let's get some ends out of the way. The stems are exactly the same way we've made them previously. You are going to join your yarn in the chain space before the single crochet in the marked stitch. So remember, this was our marked stitch right here. So you want to join your yarn in the chain space before. I'm going to show you right here. Okay. So this is where I started. You're going to start with, in the dark green, a single crochet right here on this side, on the right side of the marked stitch. And then you are going to chain 6. I'm only looking at the dark green here. You're going to skip one chain and do 5 single crochets on your way back down. And then you're going to anchor that with a single crochet on the other side of that marked stitch that we had. So you'll have, for me, it's this little pink part sticking out here with 2 greens on either side. Okay. And then you are going, I'm going to come back and do it, but I wanted you to get a sense of what we were doing. So the stems are made exactly the same way. So let's start. Let's see, where can I start here? We'll start right here with this one. Let me pull my ends to the back. Honestly, I'm going to save myself a little step here. I don't know what I'm doing with the back of these squares just yet. I don't know if I'm doing a blanket. I haven't quite decided. If I will put a backing on it of some kind, I'm not sure. But I'm going to trim those because feeling reckless. Okay, so we're going to start right here, this chain space right here. Chain 1 to secure it, single in the same place. Okay, the end out of the way. All right, from there, I'm going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, Remember to not make these chains terribly tight. Let me brighten this up because I'm using such a dark color now. Because you have to work into both sides of this chain. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip the first chain and single crochet 5 stitches on the way back down. This should be very familiar. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then secure or anchor it with another single crochet on the other side in that next chain space that's on the other side of the marked stitch there. Okay. You are then going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You're going to skip. Let's see here. You are going to, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, chain 4. I'm thinking of the stem. Let me take out 2. 1, 2. Okay. And you're going to single crochet into the back legs of a spike stitch. So this first spike stitch, let's look at the back side. We've done this before. Secure it with a single crochet, chain 4. Do the same thing on this spike stitch. So it was important to have your spike stitches. So if you missed one, you got to add one in. And then we're going to chain 4 again, and that's our repeat. So now we'll go and we'll do a single, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me pull out some more yarn. And 5 singles on the way back down. Skip the first one. 1. We will be using that skip stitch again. So like we've done in previous times, if you want to put a stitch marker there to mark that skipped chain, you certainly can because you will need it. You will need it later. There's 1. And then 2. This part is so fiddly. 3, 4, and 5. And then secure it with another single on the other side. My end's out of the way. Let's try that again. Too many pieces of yarn. Okay. I'm going to anchor it right there. Chain 4. Single into the back legs of our spike stitch. Chain 4. Secure that back legs of our spike stitch. The single, chain 4. And that brings you back around to where you started, and you'll secure it in the top of the first single. Slip stitch to join in the top of the first single. So I'm going to kind of, since I've already made a leaf on top of here, kind of find my way. Okay. So you're going to have your curly stems. Remember, they do curl a little bit. So you're going to have your stems, and in between, you're going to have 2 anchor spots for your stem, chain 4, an anchor spot here, chain 4, an anchor spot here, and then repeat with your stem. Okay. So you have 4 of those all the way around. Next, your leaves. The leaves are done exactly the same way. You will begin, you will join your yarn for, this is round 10, in the chain space to the right of your stem. So let's go here to this stem. You know what? This doesn't have a finishing point, but I left yarn. Wasn't that smart? Two. All right, let me just get this last bit here anchored. One, two, three, four, and slip stitch to that one. Okay. Now I have a full round. With your leaf color, you are going to secure your yarn to the chain space just to the right of the stem. So right here in your stem colored chain. So start with a chain one and then a single. So there's my chain one and then a single in that, these ends. Okay, now we're going to build our leaf. In the same way, you're going to skip this single and you're going to work into the sides. You're going to start with two triples. Remember how we kind of pull open just a single loop. And I said triple. So you're skipping the first single of the anchor of the stem and you're going into the first side there. Put two triples in the first loop. This should also seem very familiar. Then one double in the next. Remember, just kind of use your yarn. They overlap a little bit, so make sure you're not skipping any. Then a half double. Then two singles. And don't worry about them pulling up like that because they will relax. So one. And I think I missed one. Where did I? Oh, I missed one right down here. We're going to pretend, because I want to get past this. I'm just going to put two there. Okay. You are going to, in the skipped stitch, which remember is that kind of horizontal bar, you're going to put a single, chain two, and then slip stitch into that single to make a picot. It's a little two chain picot. And then we do the reverse down the other side. We go in the reverse order. And this time you're going underneath both legs of the stitch. So we'll do two singles, one half double. So much easier going down the side. One double, two triples in the last. Okay. And then we will single in the next space. So that's going to anchor the other side of this leaf. So we started with a single in this chain space. We built our leaf and then we anchor with a single on the other chain space. We're going to chain four. And in this chain space from our stem, between the two spike stitches, you're going to do 3 single crochets into that space. 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to do a chain 4 again. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Single, and build your next leaf. Okay, so that's your repeat for the leaf. Should be very familiar to you. Okay, I'm going to stop right there with that. And I want to get to our final rounds, are our backgrounds. We really are almost done. So that was round 10. We have one more color to use for our last rounds. And I'm using this parchment color here. So we've done everything except the parchment color here, okay? So as usual, it's going to start by building a frame, and then we're going to add rows to fill in the gaps to even it out. So we'll have some different size stitches and then a final row all the way around. So it is a total of, so let me look here, a total of 14 rounds. I'm sorry, our whole thing is 14 rounds. So we have 11, 12, 13, and 14. 4 rounds done in our parchment, okay? So I'm only going to show parts of it here. Round 11, we're going to be working behind our leaves building the frame. You're going to join your yarn in the first of any 3 single crochet group. So remember, we put 3 single crochets in that spot. So we're going to join our yarn into the first single of any of those groups around. So we'll start with a chain 1 and a single in the same place. And then we're going to put a single crochet in the other 2 singles. 1 and 2. Okay. Then we're going to put 5 single crochets into the next chain space. So we've got this light green chain space, 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, we're building our leaf. I'm sorry, building our frame behind the leaf. So now, after I've chained, I'm looking at my notes here. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything here. We chain 3. We're going to put a double crochet into the back loop of the single under the leaf from round 8, which was my light pink round, okay? So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to flip it to the back loop only. I'm going to go right here. So here was my stem single crochet, my stem single crochet, and right between it, in just the back loop, I'm going to put, what did she say? 3 double crochets. Right there. 1, I'm sorry, 1 double crochet into that back loop. And then I am going to chain 3 again, and I'm going to put another double crochet in the same stitch. So this is that little triangle frame that we have built before, right there. Okay, and then I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and working behind my leaves, I'm going to put 5 single crochets in this next leaf chain space. 1, that's kind of where I finished before here. 1, It's not secure. Let me real quick secure that. Hold on 1 second here. Okay, sorry about that. Let's go back where we were here. I'm going to do 5 singles in the next chain space. Sorry, I had to go back and put the chain space in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 singles in these 3 singles, and this is where you started. This is where your repeat started. So 1, 2, 3, and then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to chain 3. So I'm into my repeat now. Fold this forward, put 1 double crochet, back loop only, and then a chain 3, and then another double crochet to form that triangle frame for our corners, and then chain 3, and then our next chain, light green chain space, do 5 singles, all, and then you're back to your repeat again. 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll be right back. Okay, so now we have an idea of our frame. We've got this in the corners, and we've anchored along those chain spaces with 5 singles, 3 singles, and 5 singles all the way around. Okay, so don't break your yarn. Round 12. You are going to, when you slip stitched to join right here in the beginning. Okay, so we'll pretend I've slip stitched to join. Chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Um, all right, so now we are going to do a, this is another new stitch for us today. I think this is the last of the new stitches. We are going to do a single crochet around the back post of the central of the 3 stitch group at the top of the petal from round 8. So in my case, that color is light pink, and we're right at our center petal, and we had 3 single crochets here, okay? Here's the top of the first one, the top of the second one, and the top of the third one. Okay, we are going to do a back post stitch, which means we're not going to go around the top of the stitch. We want to make our stitch around the post of a single crochet. If you've ever done this before, it is incredibly annoying, but I've got a great tip for you here. Okay, so I've got my yarn joined. I'm going to do it with my darning needle first so you can see where I'm going into the stitch. To make a back post, you need to come from the back of the work, across the front, and back to the back of the work. We want to go around the post. So here is the top of the stitch, and here is the post of it right beneath it. I'm going to go from the back underneath. This is the easiest way to do it around it's really hard to see the post of a single crochet. I'm going to go underneath the top of that stitch, and then I'm going to come and go underneath the top of the next stitch and pull it to the back. And essentially what I've done there is I've gone around the post from the back. That's the post. There's not much to it there. Okay. So that's what you're going to do. Let me do it with the hook. So I'm going to come underneath the top of the stitch that I'm going around from the back, go underneath both loops. Okay. And now I'm going to go underneath both loops from the front of the next stitch over. I'm going to grab my working yarn and I'm going to pull it back through the way I came. So I went underneath the top of the first one and the second one and finished my single crochet, which essentially has made a back post around that single crochet. Okay. We're going to be able to do it again, so you'll get to see it again. Let's see. We're going to skip the next stitch. So we're going to skip. I had a slip stitch into the first of those 3 single crochets. I'm going to skip this one. I am going to go into the next one. 1 single into the next 4 stitches. Okay, I'm going to count and make sure I've got this right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to do 2 half doubles, I believe. Yeah, okay. So that works out perfect. A little counting backwards always helps. So I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to do 4 singles. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Nope, and I counted and I didn't do it right. Let's do it again. Hold on. I'm in there. I'm skipping half double, half double. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the one I'm skipping. There we go. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 half doubles. 1 and 2. And that should take us to our chain space. I'm going to fold the leaf forward and out of the way so you can see what's happening here. All my ends. Okay. Each of the next two, we're going to put 3 double crochets into this chain space. So 1, 2, and 3. 3 double crochets into that chain space. We are going to skip this and we are going to, so we're going to skip our little triangle and we are going to put, hold on here. We're going to fold this back up. This should look familiar as well. I apologize, my writing is very small here. Okay, so now we're going to attach to our leaf. On the leaf, we are going to, let's see, we're going to skip the single, the 2 triples, and the double, okay? So there's the single we're going to skip, there's the triples, and there's the double. So our first is right here, and we're going to put 1 half double into the back loop of the next 2 stitches. All right, so I'm skipping the single, the 2 triples, and the double, back loop only, 2 half doubles in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so now we're attaching the leaf to the frame, and we're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the picot on this round. We're going to skip the picot and 1 single into the back loop of the next 2 stitches. Hold on 1 second. Oh, sorry. I was supposed to do singles. I apologize here. You do 2 half doubles and 2 singles before you get to the picot, back loop only. Then we chain 2, skip the picot, do the same thing on the way back down. So 2 back loop only singles, 2 back loop only half doubles, 1, 2, and then we're going to put 3 double crochets into this chain space. So we've skipped that triangle all together there. It just is kind of holding things together. So 3 doubles there. Yep. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we've got 3 in that chain space. We are going to skip the next stitch, which is not uncommon. We've done that before. And we're going to put 1 half double into the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, 1 half double into the next 2 stitches, 1 single into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And that is our repeat. Okay. Pull our picot to the front. That chain goes behind. So that's the beginning of our frame. Here's what it looks like from the back. And you'll do that all the way around. Okay. I'm going to stop right there. The next round, you will, oh, and I told you I was going to show you that again. I apologize. Let me show you how to do that back post stitch again. Let's take that back out. Never wants to come out easy when you're doing it on camera. Goes. There it goes. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Um, now you're going to pop this back up and we're going to find, there's our 3 single crochets. There's our center one. So come from the back underneath the top of that stitch and then fold it over, go underneath the top of the next stitch from the front back to the back. Grab your yarn and pull it all the way back through and finish your single crochet. And that's your single crochet back post into a single crochet. Okay, so there's your repeat from here to here. Okay, now we can go on to round 13. So we're going to slip stitch here. And chain 1. Does not count as a stitch, and 1 single crochet into the next 13 stitches. So I should have 13 stitches. I'm hoping I have 13 stitches. Let's just try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think I'm off by 1, 12. We're going to pretend. Okay. So you're going to get up here right before your picot. Okay. So I was a stitch off. That's all right. I'm going to take this part out and redo it anyway. So now you are going to half double in the chain 2 space behind the picot. So put a half double, and then we're going to put a double through the center of your tiny picot and that chain 2 space. So kind of find your center, go through the chain 2 space and pull it back through to make a double crochet. And then we want to put another half double in that chain 2 space, but it is pretty hidden at this point. So you kind of have to fold it over to find the other side of it. Okay. And then, if you can guess, you're going to do, because this is all completed all the way over here, 26 across, because 13 would take you halfway across. So 26 across and repeat. Okay. So you're going to end up with something that looks like that all the way around. Okay. Then one more round, round 14. You'll be slip stitching to join. And you're going to chain one. This is your final round. Chain one does not count. You're going to put one single crochet into the next 13 stitches. And I know I don't have 13, but we're going to pretend. All right. Okay. So when you get up here and you do your 13 stitches at the top, which was the top of your double, you are going to put, so we're making our corner, a half double, a double, and a half double into your corner. Half double, double, half double. Okay. And then you work down the other side. So what will happen is, let me darken that up just a hair now. You're going to have all of your kind of dips are going to be covered. There's where our back post, we've secured the top of that petal with that back post stitch. We've secured our leaf at the top here, and this is what it looks like from the back. And you've done all the way around. So there you go. Hopefully you've got luck with this. Like I said, a lot of familiar, couple of new things. But if you have any trouble, don't hesitate to reach out. Next month, I believe it is, I think it's Merton. I have to look at the list and I don't have it in front of me. But I am looking forward to the next one as well. So Tudor Rose, enjoy, and we'll see you soon. Bye.